Well, thank you for taking a few minutes to speak with me today. I appreciate it.
Well, that's all right 'cause it's laundry day and my clothes are in the dryer.
That's great. I think we were doing that earlier too. So
Yeah, good.
it's like
Well, great minds think alike.
exactly, use the day off.
Yeah.
So you have Astronomicon coming up, which is Twisted's big pop culture. Is this the second time that you've done it?
This is the third.
Third,
I've been to
okay.
all three.
So what do you enjoy the most about, that convention and as well as, all the other conventions that you do?
I love Michigan, especially Detroit. I got an uncle that lives out in Grosse Pointe Farms. My uncle Bill, like the other Bill Moseley, I should say,
The real
not the
Uncle
real
Bill.
one, but the first one. And he actually just turned 90, so
Oh my
I
gosh.
look forward to go seeing him on Friday of that weekend.
Well,
And so I like going back to Michigan. I'm from Illinois, so that's a nice Midwest return for me. I also like the fact that they put us up in a hotel that's within walking distance of White Castle because I got to get my burgers, my sliders.
yeah, we can't find those too much on the East Coast either unless you go to New
Right.
York.
So that's important. And it's just great to hang out with my fellow monsters. I love Twiztid. I've worked with them on a couple things. Did a couple, voiced a couple of characters on their albums, and did a really fun music video with them. So I know those guys for a while. Like them a lot. And it's always good to hobnob with my fellow monsters.
Absolutely.
And yeah, and also, that's really the best place to meet cool wrestlers too.
Yeah, I've heard that. It's almost like this kind of summer camp thing where everybody comes together and they're all like, "Oh my god, I haven't seen you in forever." And it's like a reunion.
Yeah, and this will be the first one I do without Sid Haig, R.I.P. Sid and I did the first two. Actually, the first one with them. But that was a lot of fun. So there's happy feelings, sad feelings,
Yeah.
but the most important thing, I guess, is hanging out with the fans. Letting them come up and kick your tires, which it takes a lot of courage.
So, is it still surreal to you? I mean, being that you've been an actor for a good number of years now, is it still surreal to you to be looked at as an icon in the horror realm?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's and it's good that I'm married with children, so if my ego starts getting a little too big, it doesn't take long for me to get back into lockstep with with our family life. So yes, it really is actually. I'm happy about it, but it's a constant surprise to me.
Is there a certain type of role that you'd like to take on that you haven't tackled yet? Perhaps like even in a completely different genre.
Not that I can really think of offhand. I mean, I've been asked that before, and I could come up with Shakespeare
Yeah.
or romantic comedy, or maybe just a dance movie. I don't know. I mean, not really. I don't lie awake and think about the things that I haven't done or have yet to do. I just find that different roles kind of come down the pike, and the nice thing about the horror genre is that it's so wide that you really can play so many different characters just in the genre. So that to me is like still a constant source of delight and surprise.
I always thought that, Repo the Genetic Opera is probably one of my favorite musicals. Okay, I definitely think it's one of the most underrated. Would you like to do another one that's like in that vein to kind of blend the horror and music together?
Absolutely. I did the Devil's Carnival 1 and 2 with
Yeah,
Darren Bousman and Terrence Sadunich after Repo.
right.
So I've actually done kind of 3 of them. Certainly, the Devil's Carnival was not exactly the same as Repo is really a magical mystery
Yes.
tour. I would hope so. I think Darren is, on the up and up with his new version of Saw
Yeah.
that he did with Chris Rock, I think, and Samuel Jackson. So that's a whole different take, and maybe some new blood, and maybe that's going to fire him up, and maybe that will lead to more Repo-esque adventures.
Oh, I think
but I just came back. I was in the month of December. I was over in Japan working on a movie with a Japanese director named Sion Sono, Sionsono, and Sion was directing a movie that a friend of mine had written and was producing. So it was an American script, or more of a U.S. Effort, but it was and Sion has done many fabulous movies, including Suicide Club and Tokyo Tribe and Tag, and boy, if you look him up, you just see so many cool, weird, different movies. And he was doing his first English language movie.
Okay.
It's called Prisoners of the Ghostland. And stars are everybody's favorite Nicolas Cage. So it was a lot of fun to go over to Japan, hang out for a month, and work with Nick on this really cool movie that probably will come out. I don't know what their schedule is for doing the post-production. I don't know how much CGI and everything is involved, but I would imagine it'll probably come out sometime in the fall of this year, maybe. I'm hoping, but that was a lot of fun. That was a different kind of part for me. It's a wild, it's a fantasy, so it was kind of up my alley. But it was so much fun working with Nick. I'd only worked with him once before, and really peripherally I met him. Didn't actually work with him on Rob Zombie's fake trailer for Tarantino's Grindhouse.
Okay, yeah.
That was Werewolf Women of the SS.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yes, and at the very end we see Nicolas Cage as Fu Manchu, and he's laughing, he's chortling. That's, it was like a minute and a half, so it wasn't a lot of work for either of us. But yeah, he was a great guy. It was great to do that, and that, on the heels of Three from Hell, was really a wonderful change of pace. It was, everybody, it was a Japanese crew. Most of the actors were Japanese. I don't really speak much Japanese, but I love bullet trains, so I was happy to go, between Tokyo and Kyoto on the bullet train a bunch of times, so I was very happy.
I've always wanted to ride that and just see all that. It's fascinating. I had a friend of mine go over there and just loved it.
It is really cool to get on the bullet train because it's so smooth and so fast.
So, I mean, what initially, as you started acting, what kind of attracted you from moving from like more of a journalism thing into an acting career?
It was just an offer. I made a short film, a 5-minute film called The Texas Chainsaw Manicure. And I was smart enough to hire myself to play a cameo as the hitchhiker from the original Chainsaw. And I did I had about a 20-second stint as the hitchhiker, picking up a woman who's gone to a beauty parlor, gotten her hair done, wanted a manicure, and then, of course, good old Leatherface comes out of the back of the shop and saws on her fingers, and she passes out with fear. When she comes to, she's looking down, she goes, oh, and she's got a fabulous manicure. She goes out of the beauty parlor to a pickup truck, and there am I, her significant other, and she dressed and made up as the hitchhiker, and she shows me her fabulous manicure. And I go, hey, honey, that's great. We should celebrate with some head cheese. And I had bought a lump of head cheese at the local supermarket and licked it in one take, and it was fun. But Toby Hooper ended up getting a friend of mine showed that 5-minute short to Toby Hooper back in 1986, I guess, and he loved the Manicure. He especially loved my version of the Hitchhiker. And so 2 years later, I got offered the part of Chop Top. Really, pretty much, I'd never auditioned. I'd never met Toby until I, was on set down in Austin, Texas, in the spring of '86. And they basically took a big chance because obviously Chop Top's a big part.
Yeah.
And they just said, well, I guess Toby just said, look, I like the way this guy, played the Hitchhiker in the Chainsaw Manicure, so we're going to hire him. And so they did, and, things worked out. Prior to that, as a freelance writer, and I'm sure you can relate, I was probably making about, $250 a week.
Yeah. Yep.
And then all of a sudden they started, showering me with movie money, and it was like, holy shit. And so that's when I moved from New York City to Los Angeles. And been here ever since. And, it's sometimes a rocky road, sometimes it's paved with gold. But, it's been something that I've enjoyed doing. It's always a new challenge. And in the meantime, I've raised 2 daughters. I'm married, I've had a long relationship. I got pets and the whole deal, and laundry upstairs.
So, were there plans? I think that we saw in another interview that you did recently, there was plans to bring back the Chop Top character. What would you like to do with it if you brought it back?
Well, it's funny. I was talking to somebody about Chop Top and how, they said, would you ever want to reprise Chop Top? And of course, yeah, sure, absolutely. Be a lot of fun. But of course, we were talking about, my concept of character emancipation. And that is basically that you are owned, the movie is owned by, now it's gone through a lot of different hands, but now it's owned by Sony Pictures.
Okay.
And that after Canon and Pathé and MGM and whoever else, now finally Sony. So Sony has the rights to the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2.
Okay.
If I wanted to do some kind of an independent Chop Top movie, I would have to, pay, I'm sure, a great deal of money, or, go through Sony and figure out how to get their blessing since they own the copyright.
Yeah.
So that's what I was saying. I was just saying, wouldn't it be fun if there were character emancipation, that the actor that played such and such a character could go to his or her masters and say, I want to be free. Yeah. And, they give you their blessing, or they say, okay, you are the character, so, be fruitful and multiply. But, I don't think that's going to happen.
God, that's a movie.
There'd be a lot of actors saying, I want my character.
That's a movie challenge within itself.
Yes, exactly. No, I remember the poignance of Clayton Moore, who played the Lone Ranger on TV, back in the 50s and 60s, Hi-Yo Silver and the whole deal. And he was going around, I guess, in the 80s or 90s, whenever it was, and going to different places, signing autographs, kind of like Astronomicon. Probably Westernomicon. Yeah. And he was, signing autographs, showing up as the Lone Ranger, and he had his little, his little mask, and some new entity bought the rights to the Lone Ranger series, and they enjoined Clayton Moore from appearing with the Lone Ranger mask.
Oh man.
And I'm just thinking, that's about as heartless as it gets.
Yeah.
Because, when a lot of us show up at these conventions, we're really actually the vanguard of not only of advertising a movie that's coming out, but keeping alive the movies that have come out and that, are still in circulation on DVD or streaming or VHS or whatever the heck it is. So we do a lot more good than harm to the movie companies that we're representing.
Absolutely.
But poor Clayton got enjoined, so he got around it by making a mask out of it. He had like a giant wraparound, looked like giant sunglasses visor, but it was very dark, and it kind of looked like the Lone Ranger mask. But that's, I thought that was pretty sad that they would kick him to the curb like that.
Absolutely.
So, so as much as I would love to reprise Chop Top, because he's always with me, believe me. So I think the likelihood of that happening, unless I win the lottery or something, is pretty slim.
Well, it's like so many of these films have such a cult following too that it's like the fans want to see these characters, and that's the thing, they want their photo ops with the characters.
Yep. Well, that's what's going to happen. Actually, the photo op that's planned for Astronomicon is Chop Top.
Yeah.
That's why I'm chopping my beard in a couple days. Because Chop Top was a smooth criminal, and I still have the Chop Top costume.
Okay. Which
was given to me by Karen Hooper, was Mrs. Toby Hooper back in the day when she was, the wardrobe person on Chainsaw 2. And so I have my costume and some jewelry. I still have my teeth.
Oh, wow.
I still have my coat hanger. And even the lighter I used to heat the coat hanger still has fuel in it.
Oh, my God.
One of these, 30 years later.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so that makeup it's a complicated makeup because unless I shave my head, I'm not going to.
Yeah, don't do that for Michigan in the wintertime.
What they have to do is meaning the makeup people, have to put a ball cap on, and then add the plate, and then kind of blend the plate in, and in addition to all the other, makeup, the hands and the face and all that other stuff. So, it's really hard. I didn't do it for a long time because the makeup was complicated. I didn't really want to look like a dopey Chop Top knockoff.
Yeah.
So finally I met this woman named Nora Hewitt, and Nora actually won one of the seasons of that TV show Face Off.
Oh, I remember. Yeah, that was a good one.
And Nora's really, really good, and she loves Chop Top and is really good at the Chop Top makeup. So whenever I do, on those rare occasions, I actually do a Chop Top photo op. I always insist, or let's say urge, the promoters of whatever the convention might be that, Nora has to be included in the package because
I feel like I need her.
Yeah, without Nora, there is no Chop Top.
So, I mean, looking back over your career too, is there a favorite moment of mayhem that you've had that stands out to you? I'm sure there have been many, many, many.
Well, I just loved. I certainly, a lot of my, most cherished moments were on the set of Chainsaw 2. There was wonderful chaos. There was a lot of improvisation. Toby Hooper really just seemed to love whatever I did as Chop Top. I think once they shaved my head, which they did do back in, '86 in Austin, Texas, it was such a shock to me because I'd never had my head shaved before. And, that I actually just ended up really just kind of, that freed me from Bill Moseley and let me inhabit Chop Top. And it was so much fun, so wacky. I loved working with Bill Johnson, Leatherface. I loved working with Jim Sedow, of course, the cook in both, the first two Chainsaws, wonderful guy. And we had so much fun together. We liked each other. We really got along and had a wonderful time. LM Kit Carson was our associate producer and wrote the script, and he was always typing up new pages, and was it was a crazy chaos, but it was so much fun. I'd never seen anything like it. I'd never been involved in anything like it, and I was getting paid a lot of money for me. So that was all just a magical mystery tour.
That's great. Do you have any plans to collaborate with any more musicians? Like, I know you've done some stuff with Skinny Puppies, Ogre, and Phil Anselmo, and Combi Christ. Is there any plans to do any more music stuff?
Yeah, there's always plans. I may continue to. I'm thinking actually of maybe doing another Spider Mountain CD,
Okay.
and that was with a guy named Ronnie Sharon, Rani, and Ronnie is twin brothers of Gil Sharon, who plays drums for Marilyn Manson,
Yeah.
and Ronnie has a band called Stolen Babies.
Oh, yeah, I love
And,
them. I've talked to them before.
yeah, and
Yeah.
and the two of us put out a CD called Spider Mountain. That's the name of our group, and the album is called No Way Down. And really fun. There's actually we even have a video on YouTube. So if you type that in, you'll see our video, and
Oh, yeah, I gotta
really
check
a lot
it
of fun
out.
working with him. So I may do more stuff with him.
That'll be awesome.
Yeah,
Like we saw online too that you just saw Candyman recently. Are there any other
yeah,
horror
that's
films?
right.
Are there any others on the list that you haven't seen yet?
Well, I haven't seen all of, certainly all of the Friday the 13th. I haven't seen all of the Nightmare on Elm Streets. I think if you're supposed to have seen every one of all of, those mega series, I'm still, a step behind. I've only seen one Hellraiser. I think there's maybe 7 or 8 of them.
Yeah.
So there's certainly those. So I'm not really, completely, an expert yet. But you know who is Phil Anselmo.
Yes. Yes.
I mean, he is such a horror buff. And when I went down to do Bill and Phil Songs of Darkness and Despair with him down at his place in Louisiana, we took a break from the music, and he went into his collection and pulled out a movie called Defula.
Mm.
And I had certainly never heard of Defula, which is black and white, and it was basically, it was like a Dracula movie, but with sign language,
Oh,
made
wow.
by and for deaf people.
What?
And if you can type that into YouTube too, and I think they have some previews of it, and it's Deafula, Defula.
Wow. Oh,
And when Phil pulled that one out, I just thought, holy shit, man, this guy, he's like, he knows a lot more than I do.
Oh, he schools me every time. Like every time I've interviewed him, he pulls out something else. I'm like, dude, are you serious? I said, I just want to go sit in your living room and watch movies, and we'll be cool.
Yeah. Oh no, he turned me on to. Let me see. I'm going into my closet here where I have some of them stored. But he turned me on to The House of Laughing Windows, Chasing Sleep.
Mm.
Whatever else I can't really. Yeah, Chasing Sleep, The House of Laughing Windows. He turned me on to some like very weird movies that I had certainly never heard of, and really appreciated his horror insights. Let me see. Maybe he turned me on to what is it? It's another one here called Seeding of a Ghost.
Wow.
And lately, I've been getting into some really cool, Chinese, Japanese, and Korean horror movies. And let's see, certainly Old Boy.
Yeah.
There's one called The Yellow Sea, The Man from Nowhere, Chaser, The Wailing, certainly Lady Vengeance, and then, of course, all the cool movies that Sion Sono has done. And Sion is, that's the guy that I work for in Japan. I mean, he's just got some amazing movies. Guilty of Romance, Himizu, let's see here, Tokyo Tribe. But, my favorite of those is something called Cold Fish. Sion Sono. So check it out. There's so many fabulous movies. And I bet you there's some that even Phil Anselmo hasn't heard of.
Be like, look, I got you, dude. Like,
So you check them out because there's a lot of cool stuff out there.
Definitely.
And then I'm a big kaiju fan too. So I love, like, what I've been watching recently is Matango. That is AKA the Mushroom People.
Oh.
Toho Studios, cool movie. And also, I just got, it's on my queue right here, Frankenstein Conquers the Earth. I just re-upped my copy of The Mysterians. So, I'm still, watching away, really enjoying life and enjoying, those wonderful, wacky horror movies.
Oh, there's so many.
Really
so
are the
many.
bedrock of American and really world civilization and culture.
Definitely. There's so many to pick from. So many.
Yeah.
Well, I want to thank you so much for taking a few minutes to speak with me. Is there something that you nerd out about in your spare time that we might be surprised to know?
Not really. Because I am a nerd, so I kind of nerd out about everything.
That's what we love to hear.
I have a dog that I have trained to jump up on walls when I take her for a walk.
What?
So that kind of freaked me out. I look at her and I go, wall, and she jumps up and walks on walls. So
that's crazy. Cool. That's great. Well, we certainly look forward to all that you have coming out. Like, we'll keep an eye out for the upcoming movie that hopefully will be out this fall, you said. And
yes, Prisoners of the Ghostland. And you can always go on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, of course. It's all at Chop Top Moseley, ChopTopMoseley. And then I do have an ancient but still fun website called ChopTopsBBQ.com.
Oh, that's the one with the barn and the game, yeah. Right? Okay, yeah, that's cool.
And Chop Top's crazy piano, where you can actually play the piano by playing Chop Top's teeth.
Nice. Yeah. I was like messing with that. I was like, that's really cool.
Yeah.
Great. Well, thank you so much again. Enjoy Astronomicon. Are we going to see you at San Diego Comic-Con at all this year or no?
I don't usually do that. It's such a schlep that yeah. I usually just take a couple of days off.
Yeah, that one's a big one.
Well, I used to do it. I did it for about 10 or 15 years, and then I kind of just. It was such a schlep, and as the bigger it got, it just became almost more effort than it was worth. So you never know. Maybe I will. You just don't know.
Yeah, we've been doing it now for I think this is my year 7 or 8, and I'm like every year I was like, they're actually though, believe it or not, last year when I went, they had toned it back some, and it was a lot better. It was definitely a lot better. Like, I thought, it was easier to maneuver. There was more, just they cut back on some things, and I think they made a good decision with it.
Great. I love San Diego.
Mm-hmm. That's our favorite.
Yeah. And I love to stay at Del Coronado.
Oh, okay. We were over
in Coronado Island.
Yeah, we were in Coronado. We went over to see the base and everything.
Yeah,
and the hotel and the haunted stories at the hotel was pretty interesting.
Yes, the haunted stories, and that base. I think there might even be a statue, or at least a bust of my great uncle.
Oh wow!
Yep,
that's super cool.
And Winifred Spencer, who was one of the founders of that base, or one of the first commanders of the base. And he had married Wallace Simpson, and she divorced him for drunken cruelty, and then went on to marry Prince Edward, and that was of England, and that's why he abdicated. So
wow!
My great uncle.
There you go.
Yeah, Winifred Spencer. Anyway, that's so you can nerd on that too.
Definitely.
I'm somehow, a couple of degrees removed from, Queen Elizabeth, I guess.
There we go.
Yeah.
That's great. Well, thank you again. It was a pleasure
All right.
speaking with you, and enjoy the convention. And we'll definitely
Thanks.
send over links when the feature's live.
All right. Well, we'll see you there.
Okay, thanks a lot.
All right. Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye.